In this episode, I talk about my life before joining the Outlaw Motorcycle Club. I usually only talk about the biker stuff, but we're gonna go back. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my attempt murder case. I'm gonna talk about drug charges, gangbang, and all the horrible stuff that I was involved with from a young kid to a grown man and how I evolved. Let's get into it. Big shout to the Ghosts and the Ghost Sets. Welcome to Sos the Ghost TV, which is sponsored by Demons Row, the holy grail of MC culture. And today I'm going to talk about with no glorification. That's a disclaimer right here. I'm going to talk about a lot of stories about stuff that I encountered in my life, but it's for people to learn from it. Our demographic is very young on this channel and on the Demons Row channel. And you know, these people do all these hit pieces and then they'll come out and say, he's trying to talk about unification, but he got this on his rap sheet, he got that on his rap sheet. So what you do is you disarm people and you let them know what you're about and what you've been through, but I'm way bigger than my past. So I was involved with a case, with an attempt murder case. I wound up beating that case. Not guilty was the verdict, and we moved on from there. Now, my cousin came home from prison, and when he came home, while he was locked up, he decided that he wanted to become a Crip because he was locked up in the New York City prison system. He went to Greenhaven, and he met a big homie there, and he came home. When he came home, there was a situation that sparked everything. He got chased out the park by a whole bunch of Bloods. Now, this is before Bloods and Crips were very popular on the East Coast. So this was my days where I was hustling and I was driving a Tahoe. That was the thing in the Bronx. Like, you would ride like a Tahoe, Escalade, Navigator. Those were the levels, you know, in the Bronx of people that would get money. We didn't have the Lamborghinis or the Lolos or, you know, the crazy stuff that they have in Florida. We didn't have those sports cars. It was trucks. That's what people looked at as the it guys. So my cousin comes up to me frantic and he's like, yo, these Bloods, they just chased me at the park. And I'm like, what? Like, you know, I'm not expecting him to say that. So he jumps in the truck. I have some Louisvilles in the trunk and we're driving looking for them. We see a whole group of them, they're sitting on the steps. We jump out the truck with the bats. It's just two of us, it's probably like 10 of them. And they just scatter like roaches. Running, we try to chase them, couldn't catch anybody, they're too fast. I'm not the best runner, so we didn't catch them, they ran off. So later on that day, I see somebody that I knew that I didn't know was affiliated with them. So he comes up to the car and he has a strap in his hand. And I'm looking at him like, what is this dude doing? Like, I know him. He's not somebody I don't know. He's like, yo, what's the problem with my brothers? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yo, the dudes you just chased with the bats, those are my brothers. I'm like, I've known you your whole life. What are you talking about? And then he's like, explaining to me that this is the landscape now. Doesn't matter if I was cool with you back in the days. This is who I'm running with. This is who you running with. So I let him know he's aiming the gun, but not pointing it at me. He's kind of like pointing it at my cousin, but he's like kind of like concealing it. He didn't want to do anything, but he was like giving a message like, yo, to get real. But that dude knew me for what I did previously for the case, the attempt murder case. That's why I brought it up. So I told him, understand something. Tell your people to leave my cousin alone. So he agreed to it and I let him know. And I said, also, understand that when I pull mines out, it's not gonna be for show. I'm gonna let it go. And this is how it was at that time with this static. And my sister was telling me, she was like, he's your cousin, but he's a problem. And you know what? I was like, yo, at the end of the day, he's family, so I don't care. She was right, because trouble followed him. And he was bringing trouble. He just came home. He's like 2 days home, and already there's drama on the block that guns are drawn. So what did I do that day? I told him, I'm like, yo, bro, at the end of the day, you're beefing with these dudes, but I don't see no Crips with you. It's just you, but there's a whole bunch of them. And at this time, DMX had just came out. He had that record, Get At Me, Dog. All the Bloods was repping, Get At Me, Dog. That was their thing. Dog this, dog that. They were deep in the Bronx. So I'm telling my cousin, I'm like, why are you running with dudes? They're not gonna be around. So you're holding a banner that has you having beef with people that you know already. So what did I do? I joined with him. He wouldn't leave it. And I was with them all the time, so I was kind of labeled already. And that was the wrong thing to do. But at the end of the day, that's how it is with this gang stuff. When you're younger, you get in where you fit in. If your family is beefing with another family, you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, listen, we all live our path for a reason. And the thing about it is, it was a culture. We had our own music. We had our way that we talk. We had our way that we dress. It was fun. We're listening to Eastsidaz, Snoop Dogg. We have our own lingo. But the way the drama is and the way the stakes are so high, it's not worth it. I believe that if there's righteous big homies, a lot of positive could be done. So as I grew in the ranks, I started having status myself, and I actually did positive stuff like that. But let me tell you something, when it comes to negativity, it rejects that. Because I had shoosted up with some Bloods that lived around my way, and some of the other Crips was upset about it, and I was like, I don't care. If they're cool with us, that's a good thing. Why we got to beef just because we got this color on? And that's the one thing that I always hated about that world, is that you got to have beef with somebody just because of the color that they have on. And also I always felt the way because my cousin came home from prison, and the stuff he would teach me when I would get around the other lokes, it was like it didn't add up. So one day I'm at a strip club, I meet my big homie D-Duz, who would become my big homie, one of the craziest lokes you'll ever meet in your life. So we're walking into the strip club, and he's like, yo, what's poppin'? So I'm like, what's cracking? Because that's what Crips would say in New York. It was like a combative thing. If somebody told you what's popping, you said what's cracking. So I'm like, yo, what's cracking? And then he's like, yo, you got that purple rag on, that's where I'm from. I'm a big homie. So I'm thinking he's like Purple City Bird Gang or something like that, or Blood. I didn't know, but he was from Jordantown, where it started at. So getting to meet him, I learned from him and learned the ropes, and then I got really, really deep into it. And once I was deep into it, there was a world of problems, home invasions, the worst things possible, betrayals. Like I got videos where I talk about it. I'll link that down in the description. The life of a gang member is the real deal, and that's why I push joining outlaw motorcycle clubs are more aggressive, but it's not the same type of time as being in a gang. When you're in a gang, it's go time. Like something will just happen and you retaliate, and that's how it is. So let me know in the comments your experiences, and I'm not saying this to glorify, I'm saying this to say, look, I was young and I made some mistakes, and joining a club is not the same thing as a gang. So when you hear that in the media, gangland, all this stuff, most dangerous, most vicious motorcycle club, motorcycle gang, it's not true. It is not true. Do things happen? Yes, they do. But the type of lifestyle that bikers live is way more conducive for a young man to grow up and be somebody official. If you want to support the road, get your Ghost Cervelli mask now. They're on www.demonsroad.com. I got another video where I talk about going to prison, and the stuff I went through is just for people to learn from it. It'll be linked above. And thank you for tuning in to Sos the Ghost TV, which is sponsored by Demons Row, the holy grail of MC culture. Like, subscribe, and comment. And oh yeah, we ghosting, baby.